This is Tom, the Lone Wolf Prepper. Thank you for everybody joining me on this Sunday night. What is the purpose for Lone Wolf Prepper? Lone Wolf Prepper channel is a place for patriots to come and organize and discuss current events and what needs to be done to bring our country back. Thank you, Catherine, for the 5x5. Anyway, also, this channel is growing. It's making its goals. I really appreciate the subscribers. Anything to get the message out. Anything we can do to help save our nation. And that's what this channel is here for. We need to bring America back to the way it was originally founded, what it originally stood for and stuff. And it wasn't for freebies to be handed out all over the nation, all over the world, and for us to become the world police force. Anyway, and if you're watching live tonight, and in case YouTube cuts me off like they did on Friday night, I'll start back up. So all you have to do is look for the live feed in a couple minutes. Anyway, yeah, they pulled a number and a half on Friday night when things were just starting to pick up. So anyway, let's get into the topic tonight. The two types of Americans in this country today. But first, let's start with what type of people came over here to form America. What we deal with 500 years ago now. What type of people were they? Well, for one thing, they were people that were tired of the monarchies. They were people that knew they had more potential than their government was allowing them to use. And also, they could become more successful without that government. And boy, they sat there and got on ships and they traveled across an endless ocean back then, months at a time with sails and stuff. Crazy. I mean, I was amazed to find out that the water was so bad on those ships that people drank beer. Even the kids did instead of the water. Coming over on the Mayflower, the kids were all drunk. But anyway, just one of the things that they were willing to go through to get over here and get away from what they were. So what kind of people were they that were coming? Well, I would say they were freedom-minded. They understood what they would be able to do if they didn't have roadblocks in their way and stop signs, with the government telling them what they can and can't do. As long as you're being respectful to your fellow citizen, obey the 10 Commandments and stuff, you're living a pretty good life. And, and the government was getting involved, interfering with them. And they were ambitious people. There's no way you get on a ship and go through that journey without having a goal at the end of that. Okay? At the end of that trip. And an ambitious person does make goals for themselves, whether it be short-term or long-term, and they stick to them. And they go through the hardships of achieving that goal. Go through the sweat and tears that it takes to achieve that goal. That's ambition. Definitely independent-minded. There are some people in this world that actually do not want their neighbors to take care of them and don't want the government to come in and solve their problems. Okay? An independent thinker who's willing to take in all ideas and let it slosh around in his brain until he can come up with a logical conclusion by what he thinks. Okay? Independent thinking, wanting to be independent. not to be controlled. Okay, that was another trait of the people. Like I say, they had a goal at the end. And what was that goal? To make a better life. To go to a continent that was just full of Indians and make a settlement there through the hardships and stuff. And knowing that if they worked hard enough, they would achieve their goal. And we became a land of bounty to these people. Yeah, well, anything's hard for the first few years, especially when you're trying to achieve something and you go there with there's nothing. I mean, hasn't the people that never take, let's say you're making a homestead and you have to basically go and you got a piece of land that doesn't even have a driveway yet and that's covered in trees and you got to clear everything and make your house and stuff. Man, it takes a long time. People that never get to feel the achievement after years and years of growing something, I don't know. They just expect it right away. But anyway, that's not what the land they came to. They had to develop this land. And, it became a land of bounty for them, and they succeeded. Okay. They got to build their own life and pursue their happiness. That's how a man becomes really successful, when he gets to do what he wants to do and he enjoys doing. He becomes successful. And when you become successful, especially if you start creating wealth, you start a business, you create jobs for people, it just flourishes to other people. Okay? And that's what happened in this country. And then what happened when this country started to become profitable, you might say, to the government? Well, then we all knew what the king did and the British government started doing to North America, which all led up to the Great Experiment. Okay, that's what type of people came here. I don't know what it had to have been like to go from a civilized world, back then what they called civilized, the big cities and stuff, and I mean just society, and it take 3 or 4 months across an ocean to come to a shore where anything you want, you got to make yourself. Well, Europe must have really sucked to a lot of people for them to want to do that. At least they had a place to escape to. Anyway, what kind of types of people are there in this country? Well, we got us patriots, our constitutional, law-abiding citizens, the ones that know we are a constitutional republic and not a democracy. Okay? The only part of it that we have the democratic rules or principles. And about the only democratic principle we have is the majority rules. But the majority is not allowed to. Well, let's say all white people are hated now, all white males, so we can just pass a law to make all white males slaves. See, you can do that in a democracy. In a constitutional republic, you can't, because you have laws saying you can't do that. A constitutional republic has rules for a democracy. Okay, so instead of 3 wolves and 2 sheep determining what for supper, okay, the wolves' teeth are taken out and they're neutered. Okay. So anyway, that's what a constitutional republic, the people do. They neuter and cut the teeth out of the wolf. So, I just cannot stand the term democracy. We are not a democracy. North Korea is a democracy. Okay? Let everybody remember that. But they sure are trying to take us to the North Korean, the type of democracy North Korea has, though, aren't they? Anyway, so we believe in the Constitution. Okay. It's a big thing for us because it's done a lot of good things for us Americans. It's also done a lot of good things for the world. Okay. We believe in the fundamentals of this country. Yeah, I certainly believe in the founding fathers. Very wise men. And can you imagine the committee meetings, just the get-togethers they used to have? Well, I'm sure they were arguing and stuff, but after beating the British in the Revolutionary War, and they were coming up with our form of government, I mean, it was just another step in the revolutionary process, creating our government. But, we all believed in what they created, okay? They could make it perfect right away because not everybody wanted it perfect, and we needed to become a country, not 13 separate countries. So everybody had to make sacrifices, which we did. Okay, and over years, we corrected those problems we had in our country, such as the Civil War, stuff like that. But, they're just taking that and destroying it. But anyway, we're hardworking. I remember telling a boss, what was it, about 10 years ago, way before the pandemic. And we were discussing society. This was probably back in, this was longer than 10 years ago. This was probably back in 2011. They were talking about, how people were getting lazy and stuff. And, he was a 75-year-old man. He was a retired banker, but they had a farm. And he was the only son, so he got stuck with the farm. I mean, he couldn't find help and stuff like that. But we were talking one day, and I told him, we're talking about people. I said, when people like you and I don't go to work anymore, okay, the average American stops going to work, I said, that's when this country's going to fall. Okay, our work ethic, lost our work ethic. In that, when we had the pandemic, my goodness. So, we're hard workers. We need to keep that ethic. That's what built this country. Coming across the prairie all summer long in the heat out to California, in a covered wagon when there was an average of 20, by the time it was done, an average of 20 people died per mile. Okay. Another hard track, just like going over the ocean. You get an independent, ambitious, hardworking American, there ain't nothing that can stand in his way. But I think they want to stop us. They definitely don't want any more of us born. They'd rather have foreigners build this country up to the way they want it, not American thinking people. They're also independent. We don't need nobody. We don't, it stinks that Social Security is required, but that's not going to be my retirement. I'm not filling out no Social Security paperwork, garbage, Medicare, crap like that. I'm independent. I can take care of myself. I don't need somebody to pay taxes so I can get medical coverage or whatever. I do get medical through the VA, I guess. Not that last time I was to a doctor was 12 years ago. Now I don't go that often. But I don't need somebody paying my way. I get it's just not right. You solve your own problems, take care of your own life. All right? And when you find that independence like we all feel when we're like that, and you're not dependent on anybody for anything, you know how free your life becomes? You can pay for your own way. Nobody can hold that carrot in front of your face and get you to jump through a hoop. I hate jumping through hoops for this government. Yeah, we all feel good about ourselves. These liberals, what brought all this on, this discussion on, is I see this split in this country so bad. For some reason on my feed, I get this liberal posting, this Tony Michaels or whatever. And I don't cut it off because I get to see the insight of these people. And he had a mega cap on there, and he goes, pretty soon these will be looked at like the Confederate flag and the swastika. Okay, there's no correlation between the Confederate flag and the swastika at all. But maybe there's people in this country that don't look at the Confederate flag like that. I mean, what flag should we have in this country? They look at the American flag the same way. Should we have the pride flag flying everywhere? I'm going to make a video about Pride Month, but should we have a pride flag everywhere? Should that be our flag? I don't care if you fly a pride flag in your yard. Doesn't matter to me. It identifies you, okay? That's why it's a symbol. A flag is a symbol of how somebody believes, okay? I believe in America, okay? I believe in the United States Marine Corps. I believe in God, okay? The U.S. flag, the Marine Corps flag, the Don't Tread on Me flag, okay? Those are the flags I'm going to fly. Then you know what kind of person I am. Okay? If I go to a house, somebody's flying a pride flag, I'm going to know what type of person they are. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to walk in there and be the same polite person I am to everybody. I like myself. I don't care what your insults are. Okay? I just find it awful strange, YouTube, that people can come on YouTube, insult me, bring my mother into it, and threaten my life. How can a comment towards me, a reply to a comment that I did on a post towards me that is threatening my life, not be flagged, YouTube? Oh, I guess that's right, YouTube. That's just like JoJo can. Oh, and get this, FBI. Remember, you should check this out. There's video of it. JoJo threatening us with nuclear weapons, F-15s, and Hellfire missiles. I think the FBI should go send some agents over there and ask JoJo what he really meant about that, threatening American citizens like that. Because if an American citizen even threatened JoJo these days with harsh words, they have the FBI showing up at 6 a.m. with right to use deadly force raids, and it's amazing. 6 a.m. raids, and all these people are dying. I don't remember that happening when Trump was in office. But let's not forget Waco, Ruby Ridge. Do we have to go on with what happened to American citizens with Democrats in office? And Obama missiling that American terrorists, and where was it? Somewhere in Africa, I think it was. American citizen gunned him down by orders of the president. Isn't that murder? I know it definitely wasn't that Americans' constitutional rights to be missiled. I see a pattern with the Democrats. Like I said, any of that Americans being killed by the three-letter agencies ever happened under Trump? Okay? But I feel good about myself. I like myself. Okay? And I'm sorry you liberals don't like yourself and you got to throw insults and words hurt you and stuff, but I was brought up with sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but words will never hurt you. Okay? And I also grew up standing up for myself. Okay? So you got us patriots. People that believe in the Constitution, our God, our country, and want to be left alone, pursue our happiness, the way we started out. And we definitely don't want to have to be paying for all World War III. and our country being invaded, and we're giving them money to invade it. Okay, I don't need to say any more about the Patriot. Okay, we all know what the Patriot is. The Patriot is the enemy of our federal government right now. That's what a Patriot is. Okay, now the other type of American, we got our liberal, our Democrat, our communist. All those non-American those Americans who want the new America, you know, Miss Cackles and all, Stumbling Joe and, the strength of America. Okay. What do they want? Total government control over your life. Now, that's not what this country was founded on. Okay. Total control. And a lot of this, two different types of Americans now are because of the education system. Ain't the days when I was in kindergarten and you were having little programs as little kids dressing up as George Washington crossing the Delaware and stuff. Those days are over. In kindergarten, I knew who we won our independence from. And I was taught we were a proud, great nation. And communism was very bad. Okay. And I was given an education. I can read, write, do math in my head. I was taught. Nowadays, they don't know the education system ain't there. They're being taught communism is good. America's founding fathers were evil, slave-owning, bad people, okay? This country is nothing but a racist. They're not being taught history. I mean, to live in this country and don't even know who we won our independence from, and you're graduating high school, and the teachers think they're doing a good job. Well, I guess according to them, they are. But see, I don't know what the teaching curriculum is. It's obviously not what I did, to make me a better adult, an intelligent adult, a self-thinking and independent adult. Okay. So the education's completely flipped. Okay. And they're being taught this stuff. That the government needs total control of your life. Okay. You can't make it unless the government's making it fair for you. I want to tell you liberals, the only place everybody's equal is at the bottom. Okay? And that's where they want to make everybody equal. And people like me, the cream that rises to the top is not going to stand for this. Okay? I will not go to the bottom ever in anything. I don't sit there and try something out to become 100% loser at it. All right? Total government control, where the government hands out privileges and you have no rights. That's the type of situation they want. Privileges. Oh, I was a good person, so I get this privilege. It's a mark of honor. Okay? Now I have rights, God-given rights, given to me by my maker. And my government's job is to protect those God-given rights. And that means even if the President of the United States has to take a bullet, so I get to live free. That's your job, buddy. It's not just a serviceman that should have to worry about taking the bullets. Maybe if our politicians had to, they would get us into so many wars. Lindsey Graham. I'd like to see him in a foxhole once. Anyway, those people leave an airport 300 miles from machine gun fire, and they're saying, I'm in the middle of the fire. Who was it that left Baghdad and said they were fired upon? I don't think that was Nancy Pelosi was. I can't remember. Okay. They also want children to be property of the state. Now, I had my kids. They were mine. They weren't property of nobody. I raised them to be independent. Okay. Property of the state. State controls them. Okay. Not happening. I think everybody should homeschool. All patriots should homeschool. Whatever you got to do. People say, oh, we can't afford it. We don't have the time. You don't have the time or the resources to ensure your children's future. Isn't that your number one goal of a parent? Protect them from, be the mama grizzly bear, protect them from all evil. The evil that's presiding in our schools. Okay. They just want to determine your purpose in life. They don't want you to think for yourself. They want you to join the collective and do your fair share to help everybody else out. I live an independent life out here. Okay, they steal from my paycheck, but that's all they get from me. Okay, I guess I pay federal tax on gas, a little bit of federal tax on gas, stuff like that. But, I'm a very low tax imprint or whatever, or my low tax footprint, like a low carbon footprint. I'm a low tax footprint. But, they want to determine your purpose in life, your pursuit of happiness. They're going to sit there and pretty soon this country will be like, no, this will never happen. The government will be figuring, well, 18 years from now, we'll need so many people in the military, so many people working in the industry, and they're going to divvy these babies out when you're a baby. Okay, and then they're going to have a call rate, so they'll keep extra. All the extra babies they don't need? Yeah, you don't think they'll go that far? Whatever. Another thing they want is a digital dollar. So they can have total control. I don't think people realize when they go to digital currency and you don't have that paper money in your wallet, how they will control your life completely. They will have to okay every purchase you make. From a pound of butter to your medication. Okay? And the people in charge will be able to say no at any time. Deny the purchase. So much for your flea markets and stuff like that. Okay? Or your garage sales. Or your lemonade stands. They're going to get it till they control every dollar. Not only your life, but all your money. And like I say, once they control all your money, they completely control your life anyway. Unless you're completely independent from them. And that's when I found out about the digital dollar 20 years ago on Coast to Coast AM. That radio show with Art Bell, when they had a guest on talking about that. And from then on, my prep and change would be completely independent from the system. Okay, I won't be controlled by the system. Anyway, what's going to happen with these two different types of Americans? Well, it's easy. There's going to be a war. That's the end result of this, because I'm not going to give up my stance, and they're not going to give up their stance. Okay? So there's got to be a fight. When it starts, where it starts, I don't know. but the U.S. government is definitely pushing. When you're shooting civilians down in the street because they said something that the administration didn't like, because you say they're breaking gun laws. Watch, any law restricting the use of a gun is unconstitutional, shall not be infringed. Okay? So any law against owning a gun is against the Constitution. Flat out. Sorry to say, but criminals have a right to protect themselves too after they get out of prison from the federal government doing a 6 a.m. raid on them. War. Somebody's got to win this. Now, if the world don't get together and Russia and China and stuff don't take out our federal government, it's going to be up to us. Okay? But that's all that can come. I'm not going to be a slave for the next 50 years, 40, 50 years. I'm not going to retire into this garbage that we call a nation. I mean, you think when I was 45, 40, thinking of retirement, I was thinking the country was going to be like this? I could retire in what, 8 years? In about 20 years, the old people are going to start dying because they ain't going to be allowed to have medication and stuff. It's going to be a bad time to be old if we don't solve this now. Anyway, I'm just totally independent on the system. So war is coming. And it's time for people to put in their minds what part they're going to play in this war. They're going to be a support part, or they're actually going to go out and do the fighting. If all us vets were to get together and form units and become organized, like say, what do we got to do? Take on a few tens of thousands of CIA and ATF and FBI, and let's not forget the Postal Service is armed now. So when it comes to taking the federal government down, I guess the Postal Service and the IRS wants to be armed. Well, that just whatever. They want every federal agency armed except the American, the lawful American patriot, clinging to our guns and Bibles, us deplorables. Us hardworking Americans that made this country so great. Yeah, us. We need to go. We don't have a choice anymore. When the election comes down, this country's going to turn into a madhouse. Because I know they're not going to give up power. They can't. They're stuck. So we're going to either have false flag or they're just going to, I don't know. For me to predict what these people are willing to do, I don't know. They don't care about your life. All they care about is their purpose to control the ones that are still alive. That's all they want to do. The means justifies the ends. Remember, that's what they live by. And communists are not afraid, and they are very willing to kill people. Just terrible times we live in. That Trump verdict opened up so much what they can do to the American people now. In a very scary way. So, and I don't believe an election is going to fix this. Americans are never going to come together. The divide is too strong. We see it everywhere. I see it just on YouTube. with the posts and the comments and the hatred the other side has just towards us in general. They're thinking like a bunch of crazy maniacs. Just want to destroy. We just got to keep our level heads for when the fight comes. But like I say, there's only one way out of this. You know, I mean, does this country think that it was never going to have to fight for its freedom and liberty again? And we were just going to exist for thousands of years and we never have a corrupt government we were going to have to deal with? A corrupt government that we allowed to happen because we were told not to make them feel bad? Well, times come. So, you know, and it's, if I were to give a time frame, if we make it to the election, I don't even want to think what's going to happen, okay? Because I know Joe Biden isn't going to win. He didn't win last time. If they try to pull it off this time, we need to do something. And if we start taking our country back with the Trump win, and they allow it, and they certify it, and he gets in office, do you realize how many hoops he's got to go through just to get into the office again, just besides winning the election? It's going to be a rough time. Anyway, the colonists had it rough too, but they succeeded. And for our children's sake and the world's sake, we need to succeed too. Anyway, I am going to call it a night. Friday nights or Sunday nights are going to be a little shorter than Friday nights. But my analytics are saying that my live is doing a little bit better. I don't know. My shorts do a lot better, but you know, check out some of my shorts. I'm just trying to spread the word, everybody. We're all in this sinking ship together. Whether you be a liberal or patriotic American, okay? Not a communist piece of garbage or whatever. I'm talking Americans too, not foreigners or illegal aliens. We're all in this sinking ship together. Do you think when the Titanic was going down, they worried about their political beliefs? Something to think about, isn't it? Is that what's going to happen when we're all in the verge of dying before we can come together? I sure hope not. You know, long live the Republic for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This lone wolf out.